Why don't we go ahead and get started since it's only a half-hour presentation, and people can kind of join in as they get set up. But like I say, in Chicago, it's officially afternoon, but good morning if you're on the West Coast. I'm Joseph Morrissey. I'm the VP of Sales and Marketing for Global Ethics Solutions, and welcome to our presentation of The Courageous Leader. Frank Bucaro, who I've known for a very long time, Frank, I won't say how long, has been heralding the benefits of ethics, values, and the high road behavior for both business and personal success. He has the prestigious award of Speaker Hall of Fame, Council of Peer Awards of Excellence, and the CSP, Certified Speaking Professional, designations to the National Speakers Association. As they say in Anchorman, he's kind of a big deal. And along with us is Mark Putnam, who is the CEO and founder of Global Ethics Solutions. I'll give a little brief background on who we are when we start the presentation, but like I say, if you have any questions, you all have my email. But with that said, welcome to our presentation. Can everyone see this at the screen okay? And then afterwards, stay tuned, or you can actually just use the webinar function to stay linked in or registered for all our events. But John Bloomberg is the author of Return on Integrity. I have a very extensive background in analytics, and when you start making changes in an organization, everyone wants to know, well, what's the value? Like, what's the dollar figure? What's the purpose of doing this other than just doing the right thing? And that'll be July 20th next month. So with that, I'm going to turn over to Frank Bucaro, and let's get started.
Great. Thanks, Joe. And thanks, everybody, for tuning in and sharing this. This is going to be fast-paced. We're going to talk about leadership. We're going to talk about being courageous and what it takes in the most practical ways in your organization. So with that in mind, let's begin. Norman Agustin, the former CEO of Lockheed Martin Corporation, said this: "I can think of no commitment more important to a corporation or its survival than its commitment to ethics. That means not only conducting our business affairs within the letter of the law, but also spirit of the law. Courageous leaders understand that letter of the law is compliance. Spirit of the law is ethics. Related, not the same, and need to be trained in a different way for compliance and ethics." And Norman Agustin put that right on the money with that type of statement. If you've never read the book, If Aristotle Ran General Motors, it'd be a really good book to pick up by Tom Morris. He's an interesting guy, a Baptist with a PhD in philosophy who taught at Notre Dame. So I guess all the best worlds of everything meet at Notre Dame. But in his book, he said this: "Business is a partnership of people creating in many ways a better life for others as well as ourselves." And the key word for the courageous leader is partnership. How do we create that partnership? According to Tom Morris in this book, he says we need to understand that it's what can I do for you to get you to cooperate with me, not the corporate mantra that's out there that's saying what's in it for me. Business is a partnership of people creating in many ways a better life for others as well as ourselves. I help you get what you want, then you help me get what I want. Great definition of business. There are two types of ethics. The courageous leader does not use this one, however. Negative ethics just tells us what not to do. If you have an employee handbook and it's got a whole list of things like no employee shall, no employee shall, no employee shall, you got the premise of negative ethics. The goal is to prevent a harm, and it implies an obligation not to do harm. So don't do this, don't do this, don't do that. If all you're going to do is prevent a harm and you're the leader, then you have to make sure these people do this. So your role changes now to cop, judge, and jury, because you've got to make sure your people are doing what or not doing what they're supposed to be doing. That takes a lot of time. That takes a lot of effort. That's not good leadership. We need to focus on positive ethics. Positive ethics gives us guidelines for what we should do. Notice guidelines. Whose choice is it? The employee. But the guidelines are important. Why? It promotes a good. It implies a responsibility to do good. It relies on the power of the organization to be responsive and to love the ability to respond. Positive ethics is what a courageous leader needs to focus on, because now the leader here becomes mentor, guide, direction giver, co-partner in what's going on, as opposed to negative ethics, which is, as I mentioned, cop, judge, jury, executioner. Now, the vast majority of companies haven't got this yet. That's why we're focusing on courageous leadership. This is what empowers people under the leadership of one who empowers them. So let's look at ethics. Ethics needs to focus on action, not behavior. Once something is done, it's done. Ethics needs to be proactive. So a statement might be in an employee handbook: all employees shall, not all employees don't do this. You have to focus on the action, something before it happens, in which you get your ethics and your values aligned. And then the reasoning justifies the action, not the behavior. Once something is done, now you're moving into a different framework. And we need to acknowledge the gap between what ought to be and what is. And there is an ethics gap in this country, in business. And here's what it is. What I personally know is right from wrong, and what I think it takes to be successful in business. In some businesses, the gap is wide, and we see them on the news every night. Will there always be a gap for the courageous leader? Absolutely. What's the courageous leader's job? To make that gap as small as possible. There will always be a gap. Ethics and values will always be challenged, but that's what a courageous leader embraces in one's job and role modeling and influence in the workplace. So there are 4 C's of getting a decision right. Number 1 is conscience. What does your gut tell you is the right thing to do? Your moral code. I'll give you a simple example. Have you ever had a night where you tossed and turned, didn't sleep well, aside from being sick? And I would say most of us would say yes. And here's what happens, I think. Something that someone said or did, or you said or did, went against your personal moral code, and it won't let your spirit rest. And you keep waking up. That's conscience. That's intuition. And when you do sleep well, everything melded in that day. That everything that was said and done went according to plan, to one's moral code, one ethic, and you sleep straight through. Conscience. 2 is choice. What are the pros and cons of the choice? What do we know? What do we don't know? And then to make a good decision, find out what you don't know before making a decision. Making a decision sometimes just on what you know is not enough. You need more information. But that's a choice. Number 3 is culture. What are the beliefs and practices of the organization? This is usually in a mission statement, a value statement. But once again, just because it's on a wall or on a website doesn't mean it's happening. Remember this, courageous leaders: people listen with their eyes, not with their ears. You can preach it all you want, but if people don't live it, it's not going to work. And 4 is compliance. What does the law say? A very integral part of being a courageous leader is the melding of compliance and values and ethics. Values are the first 3: conscience, choice, culture. Now we get into law, as it kind of gives a balance to making that decision of getting it right. There are 4 great leadership habits that the courageous leader really needs to embrace. And it's more of self-reflection. Number 1, ask yourself, is my organization better today because I'm in it? That's a little soul searching, isn't it? Number 2, ask yourself, how am I a better person because I'm part of this organization? And if you can't answer that, your courageousness is lacking. Number 3, find and name the strengths of the organization that can help you become more human. Human. In building relationships of trust, of role modeling, of empathy, in order to lead by example, because once again, they're watching your behavior. Number 4, you need to practice getting beyond your own interests as a courageous leader to make the organization stronger. Get beyond, look beyond your own interest. What will it take to really make this a team, for example? And I would suggest, every other week, once a month, go through these questions and answer them, because it gives you kind of a map, a guideline, as well as some other things I'll talk about soon. The guideline to becoming more courageous as your career and as the days go on. Courageous leaders need to ask, how is what you're going to do going to help people feel like they belong, feel significant, and develop a unique identity? Alfred Adler, the noted psychologist, would sit in front of a fireplace on Wednesday nights with Jung and Freud, and they would talk about all kinds of psychological theories and etc. But he really didn't like what Freud had to say. Freud said the basic need or drive of the human being is the sex drive. Adler said the basic need or drive of the human being is to belong. To belong. It isn't that true in all of our lives? To family, we need to belong. And it can go positive or negative, because we will find a group to belong. It could be literacy volunteers, it could be the Lions Club, it could be involved in your place of worship. Kids need to have this. When kids don't feel this in a family, if they don't feel like they belong, feel significant, and develop unique identity in the family, what do? They will find a group, as will we all. So the workplace needs to embrace, for the courageous leader, helping your people feel like they belong, develop a unique identity, and feel significant. Because everybody is asking what Adler calls the social significance question. How do I fit in here? This is true of a new hire. This is true of a new student in a school. It's true of kids growing up in a family. How do each of them fit in here as they grow up? It's really important to embrace the concept of belonging. When people feel like they belong, you get cooperation. When they don't feel they belong is when you get conflict. What's the courageous leader want to do? Help them feel like they belong. Develop a unique identity, feel significant. And there are many, many ways to do that on a personal level. We don't have a whole lot of time in this session to get in there, but there are. As a 3-question goal of asking yourself as the courageous leader, how will what I do help them do these 3 things? There are principles of leadership that are important, and they're value-based. Number 1 is trustworthiness. What is your word worth? There was a time in American organizations and businesses where a person's word was their bond. What's your word worth? Unity. Are we all on the same page? Much less same book, same paragraph. Are we all in this together? Leaders and followers, leaders and partners. Number 3 is respect. Keep this in mind as a courageous leader. You have a right to disagree with my behavior. You do not have the right to go after my self-respect. If a leader goes after someone's self-respect and self-esteem, you've just made an enemy. Always separate. It may be something as simply as saying, normally you don't make these poor decisions. I wonder why you did this here. Could you explain that to me? Rather than saying something like, you are the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. Why did you do this? You see the difference? Respect, person. Disagree with behavior. Number 4 is justice. What's fair? What's just? According to whom? Who said so? Is it a legal issue? Is it an ethics issue? It's because you think it's right or wrong. How do we sort that out? Number 5 is service and humility. I think courageous leaders in particular, but I think everybody needs to understand that no one gets in this position in life on your own. No one creates success on their own. We all stand on the shoulders that have gone before us. Be humble. Realize the great debt you owe to those people that came before you on whose shoulders you stand. The courageous leader understands this and then needs to answer the question, are my shoulders strong enough for the next generation? Service and humility are key factors of being a courageous leader. To be trustworthy, that's also, when people trust you, they will follow you wherever you lead. But part of that is you need to be able to discern right from wrong, what's acceptable, what's not, what's negotiable, what's not, and be able to explain it to your people. You need to act on your discernment, even at personal cost. The courageous leader will take the bullet, so to speak, if it's for the greater good or the common good. And then you say openly that you are acting on your understanding of right and wrong and of the information you had at the time. Discern right from wrong, acting on your discernment, even at personal cost, and saying openly you are acting on your understanding of right and wrong and the information I had at the time. It's not bulletproof, but it's honest and it's transparent, and people will accept that. As a teacher, I learned years ago the stages of moral development of Kohlberg and Piaget. I'm just going to go through this real quickly as a parent and give you an example, and then I'm going to apply it to leadership and where courageous leaders should be and where other leadership people are. Easiest way to motivate someone is you threaten them with punishment. If you don't clean your room, I'll rip your face right off your body. That's how we motivate kids. Okay, I'm going to punish you. Number two is reward. You change the tone. If you clean your room, then I'll. And that's how you make kids capitalists. You know, you pay them for everything. Not in my house, but some do. Number three, what is the good leader? You know, what is the good? Everything is good. It's a good life. It's a good job. It's a good family. It's a good neighborhood. It's good. It's a relative term. Okay. So is bad. How do we discern bad? It's a bad job. It's a bad, whatever it is. Good and bad are relative. That's why it's in quotes. Number four, rules and regulations. Didn't we have that growing up? As long as you live in this house, you will. Okay. Number five is choice and commitment for all of us. You know, where you grew up, who were your friends, where you went to college, how many jobs you had, what's your job like now? All of that is choice and commitment as we go through these stages. And number six is a level of internalization. You become what your choices are. For example, there's never a time, for example, a policeman's never a policeman or policewoman, even socially, or a doctor's not a doctor. Or clergy's not clergy. Okay, you become what your choices are. Okay, now, for you that are on here listening to this, okay, I want you to look at these 6 stages of Kohlberg and Piaget and find out for yourself, where are you at work, at leadership? Are you a rules and regs person? Are you the good leader? Or are you internalized, all of these that have brought you to where you are in life? Because here's the reality. If you draw an invisible line between stages 4 and 5, 1 through 4 is when an institution is. And an institution is when the task is primary and people are secondary. Okay? Task is primary, people are secondary. If you operate on 5 and 6, that's what I call an environment. And the environment is when the people are primary and the task is secondary. Now, let's look at leadership. If you're a leader on 1 through 4, you got to be cop, judge, jury, executioner, because the task is more important than the people. You got to make sure they're doing it. So you reward them, you punish them, you keep the rules, etc. If you are operating on 5 and 6, and this is where courageous leaders need to be. The people are most important. People are primary, task is secondary. Because understand this, if your people trust you and they come first, will it get done anyway? Of course. Might it get done better? Absolutely. Absolutely. So the courageous leader needs to understand you may have some people that are on rules and regs, but you want to move your people to choice and commitment. Another analogy, 1 through 4. That was your worst teacher you ever had in school, wasn't it? And what were the characteristics? Didn't like kids, beats work for a living, had favorites, punishment was unfair, etc. 5 and 6 were your best teachers. They empowered you, took time with you, challenged you, raised the bar for goals. And you missed that best teacher when that teacher was absent, didn't you? And you prayed for a sub for the teacher that was on 1 through 4. Because you wanted someone that will at least give you a shot at something at 1 through 4. That leader that was on 5 and 6, that teacher, that best teacher you ever had, they were the courageous leaders by this dialogue of Kohlberg and Piaget, weren't they? And now the other challenge is, I don't care how many degrees you have, how long you've been in school. Have you had many more best teachers or many more worst teachers in your academic experience? And I would bet you had many more mediocre or worst teachers than you did best teachers. The best teachers were on 5 and 6. The courageous leaders are on 5 and 6. And what do? They encourage people to move from 1 through 4 to choose to come to 5 and commit. And that's how a courageous leader makes a team. 2 types of power. Let's look at this. If you remember, authoritarian power, 1 through 4, that was your worst teacher, okay? Empowers oneself at the cost of the other. It's self-serving. Use fear to get obedience. Command does not invite. Example, worst teacher, or maybe you've had bosses like that in your work experience, or managers, okay? Ruins morale, work productivity, etc. The authoritative teacher is 5 and 6. They empower the other through service for the other. They're chosen by their peers. They don't force themselves on us. They gain our trust. They invite. They don't command. Because to invite is to recognize the value of the other. That best teacher didn't make you do anything, but invited you in to the process of choosing to be part of that. 1 through 4 is authoritarian power. You can't be a courageous leader if that's the power you're using, because can be a horrible power. It destroys rather than builds. The authoritative, the 5 and 6, builds teams. How? Leadership, attitude, empowerment, transparency, fairness, all under the authoritative goal. Once again, the courageous leader needs to be on 5 and 6. And that means automatically using authoritative power in the workplace to gain the commitment and the direction of the department, the team, etc. Ethical considerations. Ethical considerations are not concerned with how things do operate, but how they should. Okay, the goal here, the most difficult decisions to make are those in which there is a conflict between 2 or more principles of which we deeply believe in. Give you an example. Rushworth Kidder started the Institute of Global Ethics. Phenomenal reader. You must get some of his books. The Moral Courage, The Ethics Recession, Shared Values in a Troubled World. Rushworth Kidder says there's only 4 dilemmas of humanity. The courageous leader must embrace these, because every type of decision that you're faced with as a courageous leader has to fall into one of these 2 categories. So 2 values that are in conflict with each other is a ethical challenge. Okay, truth versus loyalty, individual versus community, short-term versus long-term, justice versus mercy. How do you blend those? For example, those of us that have kids, have you ever said, if you tell me the truth, you won't be punished? And then they told us the truth, and what did we do? We punished him. So now we put him in a position. Do I be loyal to my friends or tell the truth to my parents? As an example. Okay. Individual versus community is kind of, is it all about you as a leader, or is it about the group, the team, the department, the division? Short-term versus long-term. Is what you're suggesting a short-term solution to a long-term problem, or should we be looking at a long-term solution? What can be put aside today, but that's something else that needs to be dealt with? Justice versus mercy. If you as a courageous leader make an exception to rules, or whatever it might be, someone going out to see a kid play soccer at 3 p.m, we have to be careful. Justice versus mercy, because people are looking. If you make exceptions, we need to be transparent, because once we're transparent and knowledge is power, people will cooperate. Any decision that you're faced with, particularly as a courageous leader, has to be one of these four. Identify which one it is, and it'll give you direction on maybe how to handle it, or ask the pertinent questions in order to get cooperation. It's all about time. I'm not much into the definition of time management, because if you could manage time, you'd be worshiping you. However, I think each day is a gift, and every person in a day is a gift. You only have it one day at a time, 24 hours, no more, no less. We don't have forever. And so as the courageous leader, we see each day as a new opportunity, as a new chance to build relationships, as a new chance to challenge and be challenged in your leadership role. One day at a time, each person at a time, is how we begin to look at things and put things in perspective. Just want to share a few ideas with you. Rapid pace, I know, jam-packed, but if you need more information, want more clarifications, research, whatever, please feel free to contact me. Either call me, email me at frank@frankbucaro.com. Go on my website, find me on LinkedIn, where I post a lot of these things as well on a regular basis. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being part of this webinar. I hope you enjoyed some of the list ideas on the courageous leader and some of the challenges, but also many of the rewards in the workplace for being that very special courageous leader.
Frank, I didn't want to interrupt you, but you were getting some, I know you can't see the chat function, but people were agreeing with you while you were talking.
Oh, how nice. Thank you. I appreciate the affirmation.
You have such a way of presenting. I couldn't find the heart to interrupt. But listen, everyone, thank you so much. Obviously, it's a small group, so if there's any questions, please feel free to chat, or I can open up your microphone. But this is the second of many presentations that we're doing, so we're still building our following. Oh, it's someone else copied the presentation, so yes, we will. We'll make this available. I sent out an email to everyone, and I didn't get any bad email responses back. So I think everyone's got my email, my contact information, so I can send you this and the replay. And just please feel free to contact us with any questions. And of course, next month is taking a little bit different focus, which is what's the value to the organization from an analytics standpoint, a return on investment, which is as hard as it is to say. Sometimes just making the right decision isn't enough without having to say, well, why is this good for the organization other than just the value of doing the right thing? And so that's our presentation next month. And then again, if there's any questions, Global Ethics Solutions not only helps companies from a training standpoint to teach employees and business leaders how to do the right thing and what the value of ethics is, but we also have a whistleblowing program where companies can set up a website and phone call to anonymously report behavior that they're uncomfortable with, but they don't want to. They don't want to walk in the HR person's office or the owner's office. So they want to report anonymously and just say, "Hey, something's wrong. Please take a look at this." So, any questions? Give me a call or an email. And again, I guess we can wrap things up. There's not any other questions. Okay, thank you. Thanks, everyone.